In 2019, 20-year-old Keeley Bunker was brutally murdered in Tamworth, England. Her body was found just hours after she was last seen with a man she trusted. Initially, the investigation hit several dead ends as misleading statements and false information steered detectives away from potential leads. Trust, once placed in the wrong hands, only prolonged the pain and confusion for her loved ones. Despite the promising early stages, it took some time for the truth to come to light. So, what exactly happened to Keeley, and how did misplaced trust impact the investigation? Let's reveal the truth. Keeley Bunker was a young woman who by all accounts had everything to live for. Born in Tamworth, Staffordshire, she was known for her warmth, kindness and personality, which lit up any room. Keeley was the type of person who could make an immediate connection with anyone, whether she was engaging in a conversation with friends, sharing a laugh, or offering a helping hand to those in need. Her family, friends, and everyone who knew her spoke highly of her friendly and compassionate nature. As the youngest child in her family, Keeley grew up surrounded by the love and support of her parents and siblings. Her ambition mirrored the strong family values she was raised with. From a young age, Keeley knew that she wanted to work with children. This was not just a passing interest, but a deep passion that drove her to aspire to become a classroom assistant. She loved the idea of helping young minds grow, nurturing them and supporting them in their development. Those around her saw her as someone destined to make a difference in the world, especially in the lives of children. Beyond her career aspirations, Keeley was a lover of music and enjoyed socializing with her friends. She attended concerts, enjoyed the latest music trends. Her youthful energy and enthusiasm made her a beloved member of her social circle. On the evening of September 18th, 2019, Keeley was excited to celebrate a significant milestone, which was her 20th birthday. She had planned a night out in Birmingham with her close friend Monique Riggin, who was a friend who had been by her side for years. The pair attended a concert at the O2 Institute in Birmingham, where they were able to enjoy a live performance by the rapper H. The atmosphere was electric, and Keeley was filled with joy. She enjoyed the music and celebrated her big day with her best friend. Her spirit was high, and she was looking forward to all the opportunities that lay ahead in life. After the concert, Keeley and Monique, joined by Wesley Streete, who was a childhood friend of Keeley's, decided to extend the celebration further. The three of them made their way to a nightclub in Birmingham called Snobs. This was a popular venue known for its lively crowd and energetic atmosphere. The trio enjoyed dancing and socializing into the early hours of the morning and was completely immersed in the festivities. Throughout the night, Keeley and Monique remained in touch and made sure to check in on each other and ensure they were both okay. As the night wore on, Keeley Bunker, Monique and Wesley left Snob's nightclub and made their way toward a taxi. Keeley and Monique had planned to head back to their hometown of Tamworth. After the taxi dropped Monique off first, Keeley and Wesley made a fateful decision that would have tragic consequences. Though Keeley had been drinking, she was still aware of her surroundings and felt safe with Wesley because he was a long-time friend she had known for years. Keeley reassured Monique that everything would be fine and told her that she would be walking home with Wesley. Before parting ways, Monique had offered Keeley to stay at her house for the night, but Keeley politely refused and explained that she needed to go home to prepare for an important job interview the next day. Her home was about 20 minutes away from Monique's, which was a short enough distance that Keeley felt comfortable walking with a trusted friend. At that moment, it seemed like an innocent and harmless choice. Keeley trusted Wesley completely, and there was no sign of any danger. The two had shared a close friendship for years, and this decision to walk home together seemed natural. But this would, tragically, be the last time anyone would see Keeley alive. After Monique was dropped off, Keeley and Wesley began walking towards her home, which was just a short distance away. The night continued on like any other, the atmosphere casual, with no indication of the terrible events that were about to unfold. However, Keeley never made it home. The next morning, she failed to show up for an important job interview she had been eagerly anticipating. Her family immediately knew something was terribly wrong. Keeley had never gone missing before, and her absence for such a long time was completely out of character for her. Her father was filled with fear and desperation and contacted the police. He was convinced that something serious had happened to her. Keeley's sudden disappearance triggered immediate panic, as her family struggled to come to terms with the uncertainty of the situation. They knew something was terribly wrong, but with so few details, the unknown only deepened their sense of dread. The realization that Keeley was missing created an unbearable feeling of fear and helplessness. As the police investigation into Keeley's sudden disappearance began, their attention inevitably turned to the last person known to have been with her, who was Wesley Streete. Wesley was immediately questioned by the police, and his statement of the night's events quickly raised suspicions. He claimed that after parting ways with Keeley near a telephone box, he had gone home, leaving her to walk the rest of the way alone.
Now, when you say you're going to take my phone, now I feel like you're blaming me.
No, we haven't once since we've been sat in this car. I think your dad can vouch. We haven't once blamed you for anything. All we've done, we've been told by our bosses that we need to take us on the scene, where it's gone, the route.
According to him, he had no further involvement in her disappearance. However, this version of events didn't seem to align with the evidence that would later come to light and cast doubt on his story. While the investigation into her disappearance continued, Keeley's family was persistent in their search for her. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade as no trace of Keeley could be found. Then one day, a heartbreaking and disturbing discovery was made that changed everything. Keeley's uncle, named Jason Brown, was walking through Wigginton Park when he made a grisly find that would ghost him for the rest of his life. Hidden in a small brook, partially submerged and covered with branches, was Keeley's lifeless body. The discovery was not only devastating for her family, but also a horrifying confirmation of their worst fears. The scene was grim. Keeley's body was found in a state that suggested she had not simply wandered into the area, but had been placed there. Her clothing was disarranged, and the manner in which she was hidden indicated that her death was not an accident. This revelation led the police to quickly intensify their investigation, now focused on determining the circumstances surrounding her death. Already devastated by the uncertainty of her disappearance, they were now forced to confront the painful reality that Keeley had been murdered. The shock was unimaginable, and their grief was compounded by the brutality of what had occurred. Keeley had been taken from them in the most tragic way possible. News of Keeley's death spread quickly throughout the local community in Tamworth, and those who knew her were left reeling. Keeley was a young woman with so much potential, and her sudden, senseless loss left a deep, painful void. The community was shaken to its core, trying to come to terms with the fact that someone they knew and loved had been so brutally taken from them. As forensic evidence began to emerge, it became increasingly clear that Wesley was involved in her death. The police conducted a thorough examination of Keeley's body, and the evidence recovered at the scene revealed a brutal and violent attack. Forensic experts found key pieces of evidence, which included DNA evidence that directly linked Wesley Streete to the crime. Despite his earlier claims of parting ways with her, further investigation also revealed that GPS data from Streete's phone placed him at the location where Keeley's body was found. This new evidence contradicted his initial statement of the night's events and suggested that he had lied to the police. Wesley's story continued to evolve as the police pressured him for answers. Initially, he insisted that Keeley's death was an accident that occurred during consensual sex. However, the evidence was disapproving. Keeley had been sexually assaulted and signs of strangulation were present on her body. It was clear that the events leading up to her death were violent, not accidental, and the injuries she sustained indicated a brutal attack. As Wesley's lies began to fall apart, it became clear that he was trying to hide his involvement in the crime, and they arrested him. In 2020, the trial of Wesley Streete began at Stafford Crown Court. The prosecution team presented a strong case against him, supported by DNA evidence, GPS data, and testimonies from other women who had previously been victims of Streete's predatory behavior. These women came forward to testify about their experiences with Streete and revealed a disturbing pattern of sexual assault and manipulation. Their statements were crucial in painting a picture of the man Wesley Streete truly was. Throughout the trial, Streete's defense remained consistent with his earlier claim that Keeley's death had been an accident. He maintained that the two had engaged in consensual sex, but something went wrong which led to her tragic death. However, the evidence presented by the prosecution painted a different picture. The forensic findings indicated that Keeley had been brutally attacked, sexually assaulted, and strangled. There was no evidence to suggest that she had consented to any of the actions that led to her death. Further investigation revealed that Streete had attempted to conceal the crime by hiding Keeley's body. His efforts to evade detection were ineffective, as the police were able to piece together the details and reveal the truth. The jury ultimately found Wesley Streete guilty of both the rape and murder of Keeley Bunker. On August 7, 2020, Wesley Streete was sentenced to life imprisonment for his horrific crimes. The judge noted that Keeley had not only lost the chance to fulfill her dream of helping to educate young children, but her family had also lost the company of their beloved daughter, sister, and niece. He set the starting point for Streete's sentence at a minimum of 30 years, but reduced it to 29 years and 46 days, taking into account the time already served. After Wesley Streete's conviction, Keeley Bunker's mother expressed the deep pain of losing her precious and beautiful daughter. Her sister described Keeley as one of the most vibrant, caring, and beautiful souls. The judge warned Streete he may never be released unless the parole board deems it safe, with lifelong recall conditions if released. Keeley's tragic death deeply affected the Tamworth community, with local vigils and memorials honoring her. Her loss initiated important conversations about safety, especially for young women, which highlighted the need for caution even with trusted individuals.